Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for coming back. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you're new or you're a new subscriber, welcome, and I hope you stay. I hope you enjoy these videos. So I have a playlist on all the pharmacy and OSPAP series I've been doing. So I'm going to link that in the description box and I'll put it somewhere up in the channel, maybe somewhere here. I've done so far 3 videos and they're really useful, and I would encourage you to look at them just so you have an idea of maybe if I've answered a question in a video, and that will be really helpful. Okay, so today I was supposed to do the pre-registration video, but I realized that I have quite a lot of questions that have been asked via DMs and Instagram and also some of the comments on my videos, and I've answered everyone who's put questions because I always do that, including the people on Instagram that have come to me. What I thought would be useful would be if I answered those questions in a video, because it might be useful and helpful to other people who might have these questions on their mind. And these questions are actually really useful questions. So this would be sort of a Q&A or an FAQ kind of video. Okay, right, let me just get into it. I won't put the names of the people because that's going to be too much stress, but I will read the questions out and I'll put them on the screen as well. I would also put them in the description box. Right, so I've written them all out on a piece of paper down here, so that's what I'm reading from. So the first question is it possible to get bursaries or financial assistance? Yeah, so I can imagine that will be a question that most people will think about, and it's a valid one because the OSPAP fees, regardless of which one you're doing, if it's a postgraduate diploma or MSc, it still costs a whole lot of money, and even just coming to live in the UK is a very expensive thing to do. So it's normal that people would look for financial assistance. As far as specific scholarships designed for OSPAP, I don't know of any, but all the universities offer some sort of scholarships. So the most important thing is, one, applying early, because if you apply and get admission and everything on time, then you will kind of meet the time for the scholarship, because the scholarships actually close very, very early, because it's not just for OSPAP, it's for other undergraduates or other MSc students. So it's really, really important if you apply early. The best thing would be going on the school website and checking on their financial page. They would usually have more details on that. What I do know is that many of the schools would offer a fee reduction, especially for international students, and so it's something that you can get, and it's something you should also ask the finance office or the international office in any of these universities, because they will provide you better information. For example, I know University of Sunderland offer a reasonable discount to the fees. I think, if I'm not wrong, it's about £1,000, which is really, really significant for a fee reduction, because again, their fees are really affordable. I know Brighton has scholarship as well. Some schools would also let you, if you paid a full fee at once, they will give you something called a rebate. So it would be like 5% of however much the fees was. So that's it. So you could also find scholarships from your own home country and see, if there's anything they can support for your OSPAP course. I hope that answered your question. So the second question is, should I have any professional experience before I apply for OSPAP? So I'm guessing that the person's just finished university. So I wouldn't say it's extremely necessary. What the GPHC wants, or what I think they want, is that you're eligible to be registered or are registered in your country as a pharmacist, because then remember, you'd need a letter of good standing from your pharmacist council in your own home country, and they can't issue that to you if you're not already registered with them and all that. So I would say it would be a good thing to do. It's a good thing to have at least, even if it's 1 year work experience in your home country, because when you come in for the OSPAP, some of the examples and some of the modules that we're doing, it would really work, or it would be more beneficial to you if you've worked as a pharmacist, even if it's in your own home country or in any other country. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's 100% essential for them to give you eligibility for OSPAP, but I think it's a good thing to do. Yeah, because again, I mean, preparing for OSPAP will take almost a year. So if you're finished your university and you're eligible to register, you might as well just do that and work while you wait for all your papers and everything to be sorted before you come for your OSPAP, which sometimes will take almost 1 year. So yeah. Can I do the postgraduate diploma instead of MSc? I get this question a whole lot from many people, and it's very, very understandable. And this is because of the fees. I mean, even the postgraduate diploma fees is quite expensive. How much more the MSc? I think most of the universities, the difference is almost £2,000, £3,000. So it's a significant amount of money. And I can see why when people go on the website and they say, oh, there's a postgraduate diploma, why don't I do that instead of the MSc version? So here's a simple answer. If you need a student visa to come into the UK to do your OSPAP, you must do the MSc. And this is the MSc version. You can't do the postgraduate diploma. If you do it, you're going to be wasting your money and you will not be able to work in the UK. Like you probably, it would be difficult. Basically, it's just what I have to say. It's difficult. I can't say anything is impossible, but it's difficult. And I'll tell you the reason why. So let's say you've come into the UK as a student on a student visa. So you have a tier 4 student visa and you come in here and come to the UK rather and do your OSPAP, or you chose the postgraduate diploma. Let me just put it out there. Most times the universities will advise you anyway and tell you this is not the best option for you if you're planning to work in the UK, which I'm sure anyone who is doing OSPAP intends to work in the UK and possibly even, settle here. I think that's what most people will be aiming for. So if that's the case, then the visa that you need to be able to work would require that the UK degree or qualification that you have is of a certain level. To be a certain level, I think it's level 7 or something like that. Okay, so a postgraduate diploma is not one of those courses that you can change your visa from a tier 4 to a working visa. You can't, unfortunately. So you need to do the MSc. If you're coming into the UK on any other kind of visa, let's say you were married, maybe you're coming with your husband or you're coming with your wife, maybe they're coming from maybe Nigeria, and together you guys are coming to the UK. Let's say your husband or your wife has a working visa. Of course, you can then choose a postgraduate diploma because you don't need a student visa. You're going to be on your husband or your wife's visa. So you can come here, do your diploma, or do the diploma version of the OSPAP, and that's totally fine. If you have any other kind of visa, it is possible, but always go on gov.uk website and just ensure that the visa you have would allow you work fully and would also allow you switch to a work visa if you need that. Okay, I hope that really answers your question. And just bringing it on as well, there are new visas that are coming out, but always for you to switch to any of the visas, you need to have a UK degree, and a postgraduate diploma is not a degree, so that's why you would not be able to switch. That's one of the requirements for switching visas, and that's why people do MSc. So another question is, am I permitted to work in the UK immediately after my prereg and GPHC reg exam? So I'm assuming that on a tier 4 student visa. So once you finish, I think student visas are usually given for a year and maybe a couple of months. So they'll give you about a year and maybe 4 months or so, which is reasonable and which is good. So say you finished your OSPAP by September, that means you only have 4 more months before. I mean, you could possibly, but then you start your pre-reg and then you can't finish because you have to leave the country. So you would need to switch your visa. And because of how long sometimes it might take for you to switch your visa, the earlier the better. So basically, by the time you finish your OSPAP, you should be ready to do your pre-reg or have a pre-reg place already. And I'll talk about this in my next video on ensuring that you have a good pre-reg training placement. Okay, so once you finish that, your OSPAP, you're ready for pre-reg. So in between, you want to be switching your visa from a student visa to a work visa. So that's what you really need to do. I don't think you're allowed or you are supposed to be using your student visa to work full-time, because the pre-reg is actually a full-time role. So you need to switch to a tier 2 visa, and you can't, or a working visa or any of the other visas, or a post-study work visa, which is coming back. You can't switch to any of these visas if, one, you don't have an MSc version. If you have the postgraduate diploma, you can't switch your visa. Okay. Now, will there be any visa problems? I feel like I've answered it. Yes, you will probably have issues if you want to work full-time on a student visa. So if you, let's say your pre-reg place is going to start in September and you've just finished your OSPAP, then you're only going to be working October, November, December. And as far as I know, it's a student visa. It's not meant to be a visa that you can work full-time on, okay? So I don't know, like, I mean, the UK Gov or the border agencies, they do have different rules. I will again link everything in the down bar. I would not recommend doing that because again, you still have to leave the country if you don't switch your visa to a working visa. Okay, so this sounds really important. Can I do a postgraduate diploma in OSPAP and do my pre-reg and extend my visa for at least 2 months? And can I get a job under NHS or other sponsors and convert from tier 4 to tier 2? So the first part of the question, if you do your postgraduate diploma, you cannot switch to any kind of visa, as I said earlier, and it's so unfortunate, isn't it? Like, that's just the sad thing, but you're not able to switch your visas, unfortunately. And then, can I do my pre-reg and then extend my visa? For you to extend your visa, you have to have like a solid reason. So, for example, the visa you would have had would just be a tier 4, which is a student visa. So if you wanted to extend it, what would be your reason? Because people can extend their student visas. Maybe they have failed, or, you know, there are some reasons, extenuating circumstances that can lead for you to, or can lead to extensions of student visa. So there's a possibility you could do that, but what reason would you be given? If you then said it's because you want to do your pre-reg, then they will tell you to switch to a working visa. So that would not be possible. And so another question was, what was your portfolio like when applying for the OSPAP? And that includes education and work experience. Okay, so just a little bit of background again. I got my undergrad from Nigeria, and I got that in 2008. And I came to the UK in 2010, but I came in for another MSc. So I did an MSc in healthcare management, and that was from University of Manchester, the Manchester Business School. So it wasn't OSPAP or pharmacy related at all. So I did my OSPAP in 2015. That's about 5 years ago. So I had like a 5-year gap, and in between I actually worked in the NHS, but not as a pharmacist. I was on a graduate scheme role, which was amazing. And then I also was a project manager, and I did that for about 2 years. Let's say almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. Yeah. So though I'm giving these examples to show that I didn't have any other pharmacy related role in the UK other than the one I had in Nigeria, which was 2 years. So 1 year as a pre-reg, and also 1 year, almost 1 year, working experience working as a pharmacist in hospital in Nigeria. So I personally don't think it's like they would look at these things like deeply as such. I mean, I'm not a GPHC, so I don't know, but I don't think it really matters. What they were probably looking for you to be eligible for an OSPAP is probably the quality of your undergrad degree. And then obviously if you've worked anywhere as a pharmacist, because they would need a reference to see how you work as a pharmacist or something like that. Okay. So I don't think it really matters. In terms of education, I had an MSc and I had an undergrad, and that's pretty much it. I had like other qualifications in between, but they're not pharmacy related at all. So no, I think just ensuring that you have good quality education from your home country, and at least get like a work experience in your country. That would really, really be helpful. Okay, so this is another important question. How much did the whole cost you at the time of doing it? So as I said, I did mine in 2015. That's almost 5 years ago. So I did the postgraduate diploma part, because I'll get into that later. So the fees was about £11,500. So that's how much I paid. And then there was transport, because I lived in London and I was already working in London. But then my university was in Brighton, which meant I had to commute from London to Brighton. But school times or school days were only Thursday and Friday. So that's 2 days a week, which is great. I was a student, so I had the student rail discounts and everything. So it would cost me about maybe £22 to £25 a day. So times 2, let's say it was £25. So £25 times 2 is about £50. In a month, that's about £200 on transport alone. And it was a cost for 1 academic year, which is 9 months. So that's about, let's say, almost £2,000 worth on transport plus the fees and every other little expenses, but I didn't really have to pay for anything extra like books and stuff like that. They gave us really good books. So yeah, that's kind of a rough amount of how much it cost me at the time. So someone said, you mentioned in your video that you didn't need to have a student visa because you were already in the UK. How did you get into the UK? So as I already said, I got into the UK as a student, so I had a student visa. And at the time when I was in the UK, we had something called the post-study work visa, which I've heard is coming back again, which is so great, especially for people doing OSPAP. So I had the post-study work visa, which is about 2 years. So in between then, I was able to get a job, and whilst I was working, I was then able to go and do my OSPAP. So it completely worked out, and I didn't need to change to a student visa at any point. What if I'm not eligible for OSPAP after GPHC looks at my document? Can I try again? So yes, I realized that a lot of people are a bit scared that maybe GPHC might refuse the application. To be honest, I have quite a lot of friends that that've done the OSPAP and they've never rejected theirs. But again, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm sure they do. I feel like the GPHC, they're not looking all out to make sure that they don't make you eligible. They want to help you. They want you to be eligible. So I don't think they're going to be like nitpicking every single thing to prevent you. They want to encourage you. So I'm saying that because you need to come into the whole system with a positive outcome. Don't be scared. Don't think that, they're going to fail you. I don't work in a GPHT, but from when you look at the documents and the things they're looking out for, it looks like they're looking at the quality of education that you had from your home country. Okay, so if the university that you went to in your home country is of a similar level as universities in the UK or a UK qualification, I feel like that makes it so much easier for them. Obviously, all the other things they've asked for, your English language test, you've passed it, your references are great. They would ask for like a small CV to just see your work experience and stuff like that. So yeah, once you put all the documents that they've asked for, I don't see any reason why they would say no. The main reasons I know where people may be rejected, I don't personally know anyone who has been rejected, might just be that their qualification or their university degree from their home country is not equivalent to what the UK would think is equivalent to their own UK standards. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that's it. If you're rejected, can you try again? I think, well, I don't know. I really don't know. What I think for sure is if GPHC, God forbid, rejects you, they will give you the reason why you've been rejected, and then you can see what you can do to rectify it. Obviously, if it's something about a UK your undergrad qualification, then that might be difficult because you can't go back to university and do pharmacy. I mean, they will give you options, I believe. Yeah, they will give you options of what to do to rectify it, and you can always ask them. They are very good at replying emails, and they would, speak to you. And yeah, so, but I think most people, they would, say you're eligible. So don't worry too much. Put all your documents, or you can email them beforehand and ask questions. Yeah. So another question is, are there certain steps I can do to get accepted after first rejection? As I said, they would give you the reason why you've been rejected. So I guess if you're able to rectify the reason, then obviously you'll be accepted. But to be honest, just be positive. I am sure it will go all well. And, yeah, don't worry too much. Is the OSPAP tuition fee a one-time payment or a staggered payment? So this is a question I get a lot. So there are different options as far as I know, depending on the universities, but I don't know of any university that would say you have to pay your full money immediately. No, most times they wouldn't. They would have options. Okay, so they would have different options for you. You could pay a certain deposit before they issue you your CAS, which is a confirmation of acceptance of studies, which you would then use for your visa application. And then when you come into the school or come into the UK and go to register, I believe you are meant to pay your balance, and that way you can then set up a payment and say, okay, I'll pay every 3 months or every 6 months or however you want to pay the amount. But to be honest, because you've put the money in your account to show that you can pay for the fees, I think it might be a bit weird if you then say you want to have a staggered payment, if that makes sense. I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't believe that the schools would not give you options. If you needed to pay in a staggered way, they definitely would. So yes, I'm pretty sure, you can get like some sort of staggered payment. The best thing, as I said before, is contacting the financial office of these universities, or the OSPAP universities, or you can also contact the international office and they'll be able to help you out. Okay, so the next question is, do you have to pay it fully as soon as you got accepted by the uni? So I think I've answered that. Yes, I did pay, but I don't think you have to. You can obviously have like a payment plan that you want to. Will it be possible to apply for my pre-registration training through anywhere else other than OREL? So OREL is a system where you can apply for pre-registration training. And I will talk about this a little bit more during my video on pre-registration, which will be the next one, not this Friday, the next Friday. Okay, so yes, there are other places which would involve applying directly, but OREL is mainly for majority hospitals in the whole of the UK. Okay, you'd need to apply through the OREL system for all the hospitals. There are some community pharmacies that are actually on there as well, and there's some GP practices that are also on the OREL system. But if you miss the deadline and you're not able to apply, then you can apply individually to the community pharmacies, some of the independent ones. What I'll do is I would put in the description box some websites where you can find vacancies for pre-registration if somehow you missed the OREL system. Okay, so another question was, what are the difficulties that non-EEA OSPAP students face in pre-reg? There are quite a lot of them. I'm going to talk about it actually it will be a separate video because I want to share my experience, and I would also share what I did. But I can tell you that one, I had a 5-year gap before I did my OSPAP from pharmacy, so I had almost forgotten everything. I had a lot of reading to do. There were so many new things to me, or new things that I had to study, especially calculations, a whole lot of it. So I had to do a lot of that. And there's just so much to do. But it's not a bad experience. It's one that you learn so much from, and at the end of the day, you feel better for it. So yeah, they were not all bad experiences at all. How hard is the final GPHC exam? Again, obviously there'll be a full video on that, because I think the main aim of doing all these videos is obviously for you to become a pharmacist, and you can't be a pharmacist without the GPHC final exam. So I will dedicate a full video talking about what I did, how I performed in the exams and stuff like that. For me, I didn't find the exams difficult per se. What I did find was that the time was very little. Like, I didn't finish. I had like 20 questions that I didn't finish. So yeah, I was very, very stressed out. But that's the thing. Once you learn how to manage your time, you will be able to pass the exam. I personally didn't think it was difficult, but then I studied really hard for it as well. Okay. So is there any chance for approving OET English as the English requirement for OSPAP? So that's a really interesting question. As in, before now, I didn't even know what OET is, but I think that's the Occupational English Test. So as far as I know, and I actually went on the GPHT website to check, this question has actually been brought up before, sometime in 2016. I think people complain about it and all that. But as far as I know, it is only academic version of the IELTS that the GPHT is currently accepting. They're not accepting OET or all that, but there are 2 other requirements. So I think one says if you have worked in an English-speaking country that is on their list of English-speaking countries. So there's a list that GPHC accepts as English-speaking country, and I think some of the countries there, like USA, Canada, and a couple of others, then you would not need to you wouldn't need to write the IELTS. So for example, if your qualification was from any of those countries listed, maybe I'll list them below in the description box so you can see them, then you don't need to do that. Or if you have worked in any of those countries as a pharmacist or something like that, and it's a bit vague. I will put it word by word the way GPHC have worded it in the description box so you can read it and see if that might apply to you, and then that way you might not need to write the IELTS exam. I know it's a really difficult exam. Sometimes the IELTS, I mean, it's easy reading, you know, speaking and the rest, but writing can be quite challenging because you need a lot more skills to do that. You need to, obviously you're using biro now to write, you're not typing. Obviously you don't know what topic they're going to bring out, and there's a style to it. So I'd encourage you to just continue, just work hard, have the book, watch videos, learn it. Don't ignore the other ones, but, you know, do it, because the problem with IELTS is that you need to get that 7 score in one sitting. So you can't combine, maybe you took one in April and you took another one in June and combine the results. No, it has to be done in one sitting. So you have to do that. Another question is, do I have to rewrite the IELTS before the GPHC registration after completing OSPAP? No, you don't. Thankfully, as far as I know, IELTS, once you've done it the first time, as far as I know, you don't have to write it again. And IELTS is valid for about 2 years. And obviously, from the time you'd have written it, you should have obviously finished your pre-reg and finished your OSPAP and passed the exam. So it will still be valid. If for some reason you failed, I think it should still be okay, but obviously find out from the GPHT if there'll be any issues with that. And the final question is there any exam for university during OSPAP or before the pre-reg training? So what I'm understanding from this question is you want to know if there are any other sort of exams. Yes, there are. I know some universities, like the one I went to, University of Brighton, before you're given even admission, you must pass an exam that they have put up as like a quiz or like a test. It's calculations, and yeah, if you don't pass it, they will not give you admission. So that's that. When you're in university for your OSPAP, there are exams that you need to do. There's first semester and there's a second semester exam, and it's a combination of that with coursework that you would need to pass before you're allowed to do your pre-registration. And I can let you know that in my own class, when I did my OSPAP, we're about maybe 20 something. It was only half of us that were able to graduate, which was crazy. And that's why it's very important to make sure you know your modules, know what is adding up, know the weighting. So they might say this coursework is about 30% of you know, the score or the module, and then maybe for some reason, because you're busy, you don't submit your coursework, which means you've lost 30%. Then you only have 70% of the exam, and maybe the pass mark is 65%. So there's no guarantee that you're going to get everything in the exam. So my point is, take the coursework really seriously, because they add up to the very end. And at the end of the day, once you pass, you'll be eligible to do the pre-registration. So if you don't pass the OSPAP, you won't be able to do your pre-registration, which is really, really sad. So that is pretty much it. I really hope these questions and the answers were useful, especially if it's your first time on this channel or you've been looking to ask some questions about OSPAP. Put them in the comment box. You can put them on any of the videos I have done, and I will look out for them, and then hopefully do another video at some point. But the next video will be about a pre-registration, and I'll be able to talk about that, including the oral system, including maybe a bit of my experience as a pre-reg, as an OSPAP pre-reg. But maybe I should do a complete video on that, because that deserves a video on its own. I really hope you enjoy this video. I know it's a long one. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you do, and subscribe if you haven't already. I have OSPAP videos every Friday, and that will be it from me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.